already existing narratives as if the universe owes you success. When was art ever about gaining a following?
Art is not a job. Did you cringe when you heard that? Did it make you unbearably angry? It should. Since the dawn of the modern age, artists have been struggling with this disgusting sentiment. If you're not a corporate artist working a supposed 9-to-5 job, you're a starving artist who mooches off of the government or off of their parents. There's no in between, not to the average person. And it gets even worse the more time you spend on the internet. To everyone who has ever said this, or a version of this, art shouldn't be done for money, art isn't about a following, an average easy job would pay more than art should be a side hustle and nothing else, you don't know anything about art. You don't know how it works. You don't know how much time we all put into one single illustration or one little sticker, because you have never bothered to see us as anything more than entertainment when you are on your break at work or coming home from school or taking a break from your trolling, and I'm tired of it. What comes to mind when you think of an artist? Vincent van Gogh, perhaps, with his Starry Night, or Michelangelo and his Sistine Chapel. Or how about that cool artist on Twitter that you really, really like, but you can't remember the name of for the life of you? Or the TikTok person that made an insane painting and you followed them a couple months ago. The person that does oil pastel works. The person that does the... The problem with non-artists and the average person in general is that they're taught about archaic old world masters and they forget that their world is built on art. It goes beyond the people you learned about in school, the ones who suffered from madness and could only eat because of kindly monarchs. Do you have a cool looking mug that you got from Target in your kitchen cabinet? Or to my fellow UK citizens, do you have a rad-looking skull from TK Maxx just sitting on your table gathering dust? When people see things like that, they don't understand that someone out there had to design the thing they place on some shelf and forget that it exists. Perhaps a better example would be the stickers that you would find at PAX and Walmart, before the rise of AI art, of course. Most, if not all of the designs that you coveted as a child were made by someone. Every single piece of marketing that you see every time you walk into a store was made by a team of graphic designers, photographers, and maybe an illustrator or two. I challenge you to look around right now and try to pick out something that someone out there didn't somehow design, illustrate, or create. I'll wait. Do you need anything? Yeah, you need something? What do you need? The will to live? I think I'm fresh out of that, sorry.
No.
Was that enough time? Good. I'm trying to practice being nicer and more considerate to my broader audience. I was told I am often too mean and that I just suck. Sorry about that. According to Julian de Lagrange from Contemporary Art Issue, artists create approximately 25 to 50 artworks annually, with an estimated 5 million active artists today. This results in 125 to 250 million new artworks per year. That's more than the population of Los Angeles, California, to put that into perspective. Now, this is purely the metrics of one article on Fine Art and Gallery Works, what most people think of when they conjure up an image of an artist in a broader sense, those weird people that own galleries and feature in indie horror movies or terrible rom-coms. If you want to get really academic about it, to quote a report from Randy Cohen, the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, BLS, reports that there were 2.57 million artists in the U.S. workforce in 2020, representing 1.6% of all workers ages 16 and older, and it is important to note that this analysis of the artist labor force is comprised of just 11 occupational categories: architects, art directors, fine artists and animators, designers, actors, producers and directors, dancers and choreographers, musicians, announcers, writers and authors, photographers, and other artists and entertainers. While these categories only capture a portion of all artists in the workforce, this methodology has been used by the federal government for over 50 years, which makes it a valuable artist employment trend. Did you catch all those job descriptions? I'm sure there were a few listed that caught you by surprise, right? Artists are not just some dude on the internet that you really like to watch, although they are definitely part of this report, or at least should be. And this Mr. Cohen guy has posted this to the NAAPPD, which seems pretty reputable to me. Really putting to use all of the knowledge that I gained in high school for essay writing. Yeah. Anyway, I'm sure you get the picture now, or at least I hope you do. Everything you consume is art in its own way. Even the video essays you watch on loop that have nothing to do with artistic mediums are art. It is a skill that people build for your entertainment, the everyman. So when you say artists should do it for the sake of art and not for money, you are a liar and a hypocrite. Every time you watch an H-Bomber Guy video essay or a vlog or whatever it is you consume on this hell site, you give them money. You are supporting an artist regardless of if you know it or not. Most of the Western world watched Arcane. Anytime you watch that show and sob over Jinx's fate or rewind the jail cell scene, you know the one I'm talking about. Don't you pretend that you don't know. You are making it so that the studio has more of a chance of creating another season. You are supporting hundreds of artists simply by existing and consuming content. Every follow on Twitter, Blue Sky, Tumblr, and Instagram, every sub on YouTube, Twitch, and Patreon, you support an artist, monetarily or simply by reposting and liking their content. But by having that frankly shitty belief that artists should do it for the sheer joy of creativity and not for the money, you are feeding into the downfall of art as a whole. So now that you know what an artist is, I'm gonna tell you why you should care about us, because for some reason I need to do that now. Vincent van Gogh is famous. He created the Starry Night, the Potato Eaters, and this really awesome self-portrait. We're taught about him from the time we're incredibly small, that he was a master at Impressionism and was a brilliant painter. We see his artwork plastered over cheap ceramic mugs, reprinted on the crap photo frames you can get at any grocery store or home goods. Everyone loves to bring this poor man up when we talk about artists who create because they love to create and not for money, as if it somehow makes his death at his own hands any better. Imagine if someone sat you down at your retail job or your job at the office and said, "We recognize all the good and hard work you've done for us as a company. We recognize that you will work here until you die, but we will never give you a raise. In fact, we're going to downgrade your pay and take away any access to healthcare you have. Meanwhile, prices on everything will go up and the stress of life will ultimately kill you. And we will only say that you were amazing and make you famous for all the perfect work you've done once you are dead." That doesn't feel good, does it? But hey, that's a completely theoretical situation that you will probably never be faced with, right? I'm speaking to all the non-artists out there that were in the comment section of my latest video and decided that they could say their opinions without recourse. So I want you to say what I just said to my face. Do it. And understand that that is exactly why myself and all the other artists are angry. We are angry that we are not being paid or given opportunities that we should be given as a basic human right. But loud person on my screen, art is a hobby. It should be given freely. It's a luxury to be able to pay for art. Yes, it is. Nobody is disagreeing with you on that. However, I take offense at this concept that art should be a side hustle or just a hobby. After all, it makes every artistic job I've listed in the creative industry that makes movies, television, and video games a moot point. They're artists too. In fact, let's take that video game thing and run with it a little bit, shall we? We all know that Let's Plays are a thing. Most of my generation grew up watching Markiplier, the Game Grumps, Jacksepticeye, This Idiot Who Will Never Let Me Rest, and many more. Yet I don't see anyone coming into their comment section and saying that they shouldn't be doing what they do as a job for free. If any one of you watch esports or rooted for your favorite team in the Overwatch League, you owe me £5 right now. Cough it up. Nick Baker for Uswitch writes, the global revenue of the online gaming industry in 2024 is $27.97 billion, with 10.84 million gamers in the UK and a forecasted 6.64% community increase by 2027. The sources where he got some of this information from are listed as literal esports universities. Let that sink in. Literal gaming colleges are a thing now. It isn't hard to see that more and more people want to be part of the video game industry, which used to be seen as nothing more as a passing fad or something to do after a long shift in the mines or whatever. So why is it that people think they can tell artists that their career or aspirations are simply a hobby or something they have to do as a side hustle because it will never pay well, or because art should be free to the masses and not only made for the sake of creation, not for money? Because they're not artists. This is a generalization, but I bet you every single comment that that I have ever gotten about how I shouldn't complain that I'm being paid pennies for my work comes from someone who is one or more of these things. 1. Able-bodied and or neurotypical and without major mental health issues. 2. Have always had support from their parents. 3. Never picked up a pencil in their life and went to school for something that isn't a creative industry job like a chemist or something. 4. Are in a position of privilege over everyone else and think they're right because none of what I am arguing ever affects them in their life and never has. If out of anything on that list, I always think they fit into that last category. Somewhere along the line, these people have been put into a position where they have been told that they deserve the world, that they are entitled to these things. Psychologically speaking, to quote Arlen Sunick of Very Well Mind, entitled people feel like people should do things for them because of who they are or how much money/power they have. If they have reached a certain level of success, they feel that everyone should bend over backward to help them. If someone has a problem with them or does not agree with what they are doing, they will try to make the other party feel as if they are wrong and that it is a horrible thing to disagree with them. There are lots of people who feel they are entitled to things. Cishet men and women think they are entitled to their spot in society without seeing a gay person hold hands on the street or witness a trans person be happy about literally anything. But entitlement doesn't just apply to the most dramatic and extreme part of the spectrum, it can apply to anyone. Even the person scrolling through Twitter that gets mad at an artist for advertising their Patreon, or those that come into my comments. Editing Lev here. I do want to point out that artists can be entitled as well. There have been plenty of people, especially on the internet, who think that because they have a following or influence or whatever, that they deserve people's attention and that they're God's gift to the art community. But this isn't about them. This is about people who feel they're entitled to free art and that artists shouldn't be paid for their work, as if any ad they see for Patreon is a targeted attack. These people use the entitlement argument against artists who are genuinely just trying to make a living, and it's honestly just a bunch of bullshit and gaslighting. Just wanted to clear that up before someone inevitably goes off in my comments. They feel like they are entitled to an artist's works without having to acknowledge that we live in a world where we have to be paid and we should be paid fairly. They want art to be easy and to be consumed without issue. They want free things because it's nice to have free things, but they don't see art as something that is worth a price tag because they have been catered to their whole lives. They've been told they have power over us. They haven't had pushback. And to the people who say that I am an artist and that I should be making art simply for creativity's sake and not for money, so you agree that capitalism is a problem and that our world is currently not made with underprivileged people in mind. You agree then that capitalism is a hell that nobody can escape from.
Like really pretty.
Thank you.
So you agree? What? You think you're really pretty?
People who work minimum wage jobs, those that stock our shelves, work at our favorite gaming store or coffee shop, we all agree they should be paid a living wage, right? It's obvious from statistics alone that more and more people are driven to take these positions up because the job market has gone dry, and they often need second or third jobs to make up rent. If you don't agree, well, this just isn't the video for you now, is it? Capitalist scum. Supposedly, these jobs are easy. I argue once again that people who are saying this probably never had a retail job, or they are one of the lucky bastards without disabilities that found these sorts of careers enjoyable. Obviously, I am able to sit here and talk to my camera for hours on end. I have a proper mic, though I don't have a stand. Please don't mention it in the comments, thank you. And I can somewhat survive off of my freelance job as an artist. That, in of itself, is privilege. I am also a white person, and I am not homeless. However, what everyone here doesn't see is that I am disabled. If I can be vulnerable with you for a second, I have severe mental illness. Professionals have diagnosed me with CPTSD, complex post-traumatic stress disorder. I won't get into the laundry list of symptoms that I unfortunately have to live with, but suffice to say, I deal with a lot of anxiety, depression, and deep paranoia. On top of that, I've been referred to a psychiatrist so that I can maybe get a diagnosis of autism. I say all of this because I have often said that I can't work in retail or an office job and have stated it was due to sensory issues. That is the case, but I suppose now that I can expand upon it. I left my job in June of 2024 to pursue art and YouTube because I feared for my life and my physical well-being. Not from my coworkers, mind you, but because I was doing so poorly. I had mental breakdowns from masking and constantly being told I was rude despite not understanding how I had a tone with a customer when I was trying to be neutral. The The noise was enough to put me into hysterics by the end of the day. I just couldn't do it. So I buckled down, worked on my artistic skill and video editing, and here we are now. Not only did I have to do that because of my mental well-being, but because my body is physically unwell. Working in retail for 6-ish years has done quite the number on me, and I already had problems to begin with. I've got chronic pain in both of my knees, and they crunch quite loudly when I go up and down the stairs. Just one twist of the knee or misstep and I could be out of commission for a day or two. When I go out with my husband, I require a cane to walk. I sort of talked about it in my Arcane analysis video. For reference, I am 27. I'm still pretty damn young. These things make it so that I can't really work a normal job, and even if I tried again, my body just wouldn't be able to handle it, and neither would my mind. So I rely on my skills as an artist to make money and pay my bills. I love putting a face to people's OCs, bringing them to life in a way that they want and without the constraints of video game CCs or whatever it may be. My PC is covered in stickers my husband and I made. I absolutely love making little trinkets for people. I always have. Making videos is the same thing. A year ago, I was introduced to H-Bomber-Guy and Prickly Alpaca. They are the reasons why I made a YouTube channel, period. Their content inspires me. It makes me want to do that, and not because of the attention or the money, though both of those things are nice, but because I cannot see a world in which I don't do that. Looking down at an illustration or playing back a video I made and being proud of what I see is what keeps me going. And it is a shame that people don't see enough worth in these things to agree that we should all be paid more for what we do. For full transparency, I usually make about £2 on average per 1K views on my videos. Artists are not well paid by YouTube. In general, the highest paid niches within YouTube are personal finance and digital marketing, real estate, entertainment, beauty and travel, normal stuff. Things that have a wide audience range. Sometimes you can fit gaming and ASMR in there too. Both of them have quite a broad reach. According to this Teachable article, the infamous Mr. Beast is one of the biggest YouTubers in the world, with over 200 million subscribers and 100 million plus views on every video he posts. His estimated monthly earnings from his YouTube video ads alone are anywhere between $700,000 to $12 million. Obviously, he's quite controversial now and is on a much more dramatic side of things, but if Mr. Beast, who really has no worth when it comes to actual entertainment, at least in my opinion, can make videos that are loud and annoying and still get millions of views, I can make things that are obnoxious and get millions of views. But people are not interested in art. They're interested in a guy that drives a weird car around, or, I don't know, apparently puts a stick of dynamite in his mouth for fun. I don't know how this got past YouTube's guidelines. Make it make sense. If we continue on from the idea that artists are paid £2 per 1K views, this means to break even for my bills, I would have to get 150K views per video, and I don't see that happening on my character designs. Not because I think my art is shit, but because my art is not marketable. Or at the very least, it's not as marketable as everyone else's stuff. And I don't just post videos to the internet and complain. I take on sketch commissions, help run an Etsy store, sell things at conventions sometimes, and run a Patreon. I've even thought about doing streaming at this point, and seriously posting to TikTok now that I know how short-form content works thanks to Instagram Reels. It won't help right away, seeing as freelance artists are paid on average £34.79 per hour, according to Jubal.uk. Wait, holy shit, I need to raise my commission prices right now. Wait, hold on. We've stopped being in this era of patrons fighting over artists. In fact, we've entered an era where capitalism has destroyed our industry and commodified it into something they think they can recreate in a fast, cheap, easy way. The rise of AI art is something people like to bring up when it comes to disabled artists, either because they're ignorant of the facts and don't want to be called ableist, or because they just want to use us to make a point. But most artists are not for generative AI, and it is actively taking away jobs from us that aren't just freelance, but are actual jobs, like making your video games and animated shows. I've made plenty of videos on AI. I don't really want to rehash this whole thing. If you want more information on it or want to watch those videos, here they are. In a perfect world, we would be able to put this comment to the test. We would be able to let artists create simply for the act of creating, but we don't live in a perfect world, and saying shit like this helps absolutely nobody. Artists are humans living in your reality. If you want to keep seeing free art on Instagram and Twitter, you have to put up with the fact that we complain about being paid very little for our skill and time, just like everybody else on the planet. You have to be okay with us asking for you to retweet when we put out ads for our Patreon. We are not asking you personally to fund our lives. You have free will, and we are not entitled into thinking everyone needs to give us money, but we do deserve to live, not just survive. Without art, this world would be drab. It would be boring. Every post-apocalyptic movie and TV show would be our reality. Art was never supposed to be easy. We've just been told from day one that creatives waste their time and burden everyone else by not being teachers, scientists, or doctors. And even when we get non-creative jobs just to fund our passions, we're told we're next to nothing because we wanted to make something we're passionate about, just like any movie director or your favorite gaming YouTuber, and somehow we failed. I did not make my most recent video before this because I wanted everyone to give me money, although that would have been nice. I wanted to show the world that artists deserve your respect and support. If I could make art just to make art, I would. I would sit in this exact spot and still yap at my phone. I would make stickers. I would draw my OCs and other people's OCs, probably most of my friends' OCs and my husband's OCs. But I was forced into this position by capitalism to monetize something that I love because it fits my situation, because bills needed to be paid, and honestly, I fear that my knees will shatter if I have to pick up another 20-pound box of video games and game consoles. So all I ask is that you remember that art is not a job, it is a career and a passion. If you wouldn't tell a retail worker or a barista or a public school teacher or a trash man or even the game grumps that they should be doing their job for free, you should not be telling an artist that they should do their job for free, because that's just shitty behavior, and we all live in a capitalistic society, not whatever reality this person lives in.